Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Toastmasters. Today, our meeting is completely virtual, not a hybrid meeting. And a reminder that next week, we should be meeting at the YWCA in Lockport, as well as online for a different hybrid meeting.
Yes.
And I know someone probably told me that the inspiration person is online.
I am here. Hello.
There we go.
Okay.
Excellent. I feel that you're so energized, you're ready to go. Please just go ahead and give us some inspiration for today.
All right. I heard that there are 3 simple rules in life. I think there are more, but I'm going to use these 3. If you don't go after what you want, you'll never have. 2, if you do not ask, the answer will always be no. 3, if you do not step forward, you'll always be in the same place. So today, may we seek what it is we truly want. May we say yes to life by asking for help and support and be open to listening to others. May we step out of our comfort zone into a new place of growth. Let's have a great meeting today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And before I turn it over to Beth, we have to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could, please recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, other than the fact that we're 100% virtual, hybrid meeting, new location next week, don't have any immediate announcements. We'll have more at the end, business type things. With that, I'm not even going to hold anything up. I'm going to immediately jump over and hand it over to our Toastmaster of the day. A big round of applause for Beth Banks.
Thank you, Thomas. So my title today, something I will never make or do for the holidays. Many of us make lists of the things we are going to do, we want to make, we want to do for the holidays. But my question is, what about those things? No, never, ever, ever. Okay. Is there a family recipe that calls for something you've never even heard of? Do you all know Dream Whip? What about those things that call for size measurement? The size of a nut. What kind of nut? Nut with the shell, nut without the shell? How do you know? Pinch is easy. Like you can actually pinch something. But nut? Many of the recipes I make at Christmas, I got from my mother. I make her oatmeal carmelitas. I make her fudge. I make the fudgies. Some years I even make my dad's molasses cookies. Mom didn't ever make molasses cookies. That was Dad's job. He always made the big gingerbread. I mean, he made big gingerbread men. My mother always made toffee. I learned many years ago that really was not my forte. I tried. I really tried. I don't know if it was the candy thermometer I was using, the 4 children running around distracting me, or I just wasn't patient enough to get that toffee to set the way it was supposed to, but it really didn't come out very well at all. In my opinion, toffee is best left for the professionals. A few years ago at the Erie County Fairgrounds, I found a shop there. They sell toffee. I bought it. Worked for me. I don't need to make toffee again. Not my thing. I'm going to move on to introducing all of our job folders this morning. The Word Master Christy Glopper Banks, what is our word for today?
Good morning. I pondered the theme for today's meeting, trying to find a word that correlates especially to the word never, and settled upon ponder. The word ponder is a verb to think about something carefully, especially before making a decision or reaching a conclusion. Each year, I ponder whether or not I will try to make fruitcake for the holidays. I'll put all that in the chat, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Chris. And our master is Mike Florio. Mike, what is your job today?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster. I will be pondering the ahs and ums of the meeting today and then reporting back as to how well we did. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Our grammarian for today is Jackie Kenny. Jackie, tell us about your job today.
Thank you, Beth. Good morning, everyone. I will be listening carefully, trying to follow anything I hear that offends my ear and make note of it. And I'll also make note of the things that tickle my fancy and that I enjoy a little bit more, giving a report at the end. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jackie. Moving along. Let's see, our quote master for today is Steve Smith. Get one of those cats to help you there, Steve, and give us a quote, please.
Oh, they are a big help. The one is like right in the middle of me here and I can't move. But I have my notes within arm's reach. The main reason Santa is so jolly is because he knows where all the bad girls live. George Carlin. I haven't taken my Christmas lights down because they look so nice on the pumpkins. And named Winston Spear. The Supreme Court has ruled they cannot have a nativity scene in Washington. Now, this has nothing to do with religion. They can't find 3 wise men and a virgin. Jay Leno. And finally, I have a quote from one of my favorite authors, unknown. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, but if the white runs out, I'll drink the red.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. And on to our jester, Tom Moran. Do you have a jest for us today?
I do. I was kind of confused by the theme of the meeting this morning, so I didn't quite know what it was. So I just picked it was something that I had heard recently. It was a young child. He was kind of confused, and he was kind of like other children. He was pondering where he might have come from. So the child goes in and he asks his father, he says, where do people come from? And the father said, well, Adam and Eve made babies, then babies became adults and made babies, and so on and so on. And that's where you came from. That's where how you were born. That child was kind of, thinking, oh, okay, I got it. I got it. So he was still a little confused and still pondering somewhat. And he went to his mother and he asked her the same question. He said, well, how are people born? And his mother looked at him and she thought for a while. And she said, well, originally we were monkeys. Then we evolved and we became like we are now. And the child looked even more confused. And he was kind of like angry, and he ran back to his father and he said, Dad, you lied to me. You lied to me. He says, Mom told me about how people were born and the monkeys and everything. And he says, no. He says, she was talking about her side of the family. Madam Toastmaster.
Very good, Tom. I love it. Okay, let's see. Our timer, Larry McKenzie, you stepped up for that, correct?
I did. Madam Toastmaster, thank you for the opportunity to assist with the meeting today. I will be pondering whether our speakers, evaluators, and table topics participants make time. My job today will be to be the clock master. There's a good word. And I will be pondering whether to give them the green, the yellow, and the red. The green will be for table topics at 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then at 1:45 for the yellow, and then at 2 minutes for the red. Speakers normally are 5 to 7, and they will receive the green light at 5, the yellow at 6, the 7-minute will be the red. And you know what that means? That means zip it, ponder whether to continue your speech at another time. And evaluators are between 2 to 3 minutes, and that will be the same. It'll be 2 minutes, 2:30, and then 3 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. I will report when called upon.
Thank you very much, Larry. And our tech and gesture master, that's a different from I had Kate down for 2 jobs. Not that she can't handle 2 jobs, but Chris, I have heard that you have stepped up and you agreed to be the tech and gesture master.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster, I have been recruited at the last minute here, but glad to lend a hand. So this morning I will take on the role of tech and gesture master. I will keep track of and report on the use of technology, as well as gestures, body language, facial expressions throughout the meeting, and we'll report in at the end. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, and our quiz master for today is Dave Licata. Can you tell us about your job, Dave?
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. It is my job to come up with questions so we can find out what we learned at today's meeting, but I have to ponder which questions are worthy of this august group, AM Lockport Toastmasters, because we are smarter and wittier than the average club. So that's my job today. And I want to know if Tom Moran needs any Buffalo Bills gear to wear Monday night. We'll send
Good one, Dave.
We'll send it overnight.
Okay, so we will move along now to table topics. I did have to ponder quite a while on my topic today, so some of you did probably find it a little bit strange. Hopefully Anne-Marie can come up with some questions. Anne-Marie?
Well, good morning, everybody. Nice to see all your smiling faces and all these great backgrounds. Wow, it's worth waking up for. I'm sure all of you are pondering your plans for Christmas, and especially now the second Christmas during this pandemic. And certainly it's a challenge, what to include, what not to include, how to go about arranging events. So Dr. Gerald Stevens, are you there?
I'm here. I don't know if the video will stay, but I'm here.
Okay, nice to see your smiling face. So a vacation alternative. Picture this now. You've been given an unlimited amount of funds to go on a vacation during the Christmas holiday season. You can go anywhere you want, but of course you have to keep in mind the pandemic restrictions. So please share with us your plans of where you would go and who you would take along. Dr. Stevens.
Morning, fellow Toastmasters and any guests we may have. I ponder a lot about vacation, especially now that I have finished my vacations. So I've been thinking about a lot of different locations to go with the pandemic, with the restrictions. Should I go here? Should I go there? Is there a new variant popping up? What are the restrictions? If I had to pick in an ideal world where to go, and I had unlimited funds is the biggest part of this, is Antarctica. They have cruises to Antarctica. They are not cheap. I know there's pandemic, but they still have cruises. they just have it with a few restrictions right now. So I'm kind of walking the line everywhere I go in regards to doing the proper things with the masks, and everywhere I go seems to be social distanced as well. So I'm always outside, or the tables at the restaurant are all spaced out. So I have not had any issues, thankfully, knock on wood. It'd be nice to go down there and see the different wildlife, penguins, and who knows, maybe a leopard seal or some whales, all different shades of life that we've never seen anywhere else, really. And that'd be pretty cool to do that. So, and if I had to pick somewhere else more sunny, I have just booked for March, Puerto Rico. So I'm going to go to Puerto Rico, go down there, tour a rum distillery. That should be fun. Just a 4-day weekend. So a little fun in the sun. That is the latest plan. But more to come for sure, fellow Toastmasters. And I will continue to ponder as I do every day. Now I'm table.
Very good. Thank you, Gerald. I don't know if any of us can come along to Puerto Rico, but that really sounds very appealing. Great. So let's see, Jill Roaring, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, complete with kitty cat.
Okay, great. You have a little helper there. Christmas is traditions, and it's a very special time of year for sharing and connecting, a very festive time. So what are some of your festive Christmas rituals? Some of them include foods and activities, sometimes special forms of entertainment. So given the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic, what special Christmas traditions do you still plan to share this year with your loved ones and your friends? Jill.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. As to Christmas traditions for this year, things are very much up in the air. Yesterday morning, I had nerve blocks done on my rib cage.
Ooh.
I thought everything was fine until the lidocaine wore off, which was about the same time as we were deciding to send my mother to the hospital. Put it bluntly, my mother has had something wrong with her lately. And fortunately, Mom and Dad live right around the corner here. So myself and Steve have been running over to help Dad much as 3 or 4 times a day. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Yesterday, when I should have been resting from the nerve block, I was dealing with what are we going to do with Mother. We decided to call the ambulance and we sent her to Millard Fillmore, which is, of course, I don't know how many of you have experience with what's going on at Millard Fillmore. Of course, it's been this way for years, but it's even worse now. You hurry up and wait. So Steve drove and my dad and I rode. And first we went to Outback Steakhouse for dinner because we had to eat. I mean, got to keep our own strength up. Truth is, Dad hadn't been out to eat in ages, so it's probably good for him. And then we drove to the hospital. Now, the whole time we're at Outback, I'm sitting in the booth feeling like I have a broken rib or two. It was not pleasant, but I did eat. And then we went to the hospital and I started calling the ER. And they told us it's going to be at least a couple hours before we know anything. She's just laying in a gurney. And you can't come in. Once we get her in a treatment room, somebody can come in. Well, we're in Wilson and this is Millard Fillmore and I'm in agony. So at that point, we decided to drive home, and then I started calling every couple hours up there. I called this morning shortly before, after we got up, and I'm in red, so which I did not know until just now. So I'm going to quit. Bye.
Thank you so much, Jill, for sharing that story. And obviously, it's an example of how complicated our lives have been, and not the same as they are every year. So I hope your mom will do well. Third and
I do
last
too, but-
opportunity. I think I see Marty Johnson. Are you there, Marty? Good morning. So you'll be the third contestant here. This question is about memories, and memories of past Christmas are very important to us. They're very special to our lives. So please take us on a trip down memory lane and share with us fond memories of some past Christmas celebration from your childhood years that has a special significance to you. Marty Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. Before I get started, I just wanted to have someone remind me of the word of the day.
Oh, the word of the day is ponder.
Ponder.
Good question.
As I ponder on that question, then, Madam Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, good morning all. Taking a trip down memory lane with my fellow Toastmasters, I would take it to Wheeler Road, the site of my grandmother and grandfather's home. My mother's mother and father. Wheeler Road, for any of you that don't know, is near Wright's Corners, near the McDonald's on 104. And as a child, every year, the family tradition was to go to my grandparents on Wheeler Road and cut a tree from their tree farm. When my mother was a child, they planted Christmas trees in the field behind my grandparents' home. And as a tradition, every year, my father would gather my 4 other siblings and myself, and we would have a big sled, and we'd haul it back with all the tool that we needed, the saw to cut the tree down. And you'd hear the old the old timber once the tree started falling. And then we would pull the tree back through with the field with a long rope in the sled, singing Christmas carols. And that's one of my best memories of Christmas and Christmas traditions growing up as a child, is going down to my grandparents on Wheeler Road, cutting a select tree down out of the tree farm and hauling it back, singing Christmas carols, and having a blast with my other siblings. Thank you, Madam Topics Master.
Wow, what a beautiful memory. Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to mention that I might have to leave the meeting early because I have a refrigerator repairman coming between 8 and 11. So hopefully he won't come during the meeting, but just to let you know in case I disappear. So everybody did a great job. Thank you. So could we have a vote? No, word man. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's not my role. Word master?
Timers report, maybe.
Is that
Let
me
see if I
then?
can unmute.
Yeah, the word master.
Okay.
Word master. Did they use the word?
Okay, sorry. So if this is for everybody so far, I'm sorry, I don't know.
It's just the table topics. Did all 3 use or?
Okay. Gerald used it twice. Jill did not, and Marty used it once.
Okay, very good. And timer.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I pondered on trying to keep time efficiently. Dr. Gerald, amazing, exactly 2 minutes.
Wow.
Jill was a tad bit over at 3 minutes and 11 seconds. And Marty at 1:53. With those parameters, Gerald and Marty did qualify. And we will have a vote for that coming up momentarily as soon as I'm able to put that up. So I'll turn it back to you, Madam Toastmaster. I have to redo the poll and I will put it up momentarily.
Okay, thank you, Larry. So yes, if you will vote, that would be great. And while you are voting, our first speaker for today is Len Thornton. Len is going to be evaluated by Sylvia. So Sylvia, can you tell us about Len's speech?
Yes, morning, everyone. This morning, I have the pleasure of evaluating Len Thornton. Len is working on the presentation mastery level 3, inspire your audience. The purpose of this project is to practice writing and delivering a speech that inspires others and us this morning. Len will need to present a speech that should be engaging and entertaining or moving. The speaker should also be aware of the responses of his audience to adjust if he needs to, maybe more interaction or not. Do you have his title?
I do.
Okay, it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. And his title is, Beth?
His title is Nicola. I'm not sure if I pronounced it the way you pronounce it, Len. There are several pronunciations, but Nicola time. Let us know about that.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Yeah, try this standing up here. Let's see how that goes. Nicola, of course, when you hear that name, you think automatically of Tesla, the iconic electric vehicle manufacturer founded and headed by Elon Musk. Love or hate him, he did something absolutely incredible. He started a mass vehicle manufacturing company. First time in 80, 90 years, anybody's been able to do that without going bankrupt. And how did he do that? Well, in 2003, he partnered with a couple other people in California, and he had an idea to develop an all-electric vehicle. Now, they have existed before. In fact, General Motors had one, the EV1 in the early 90s, but they were only ever leased, and they never really supported them. They were only rolled out in a few cities, and then they ended up taking them all back and crushing them. And there's a lot of speculation that the oil industry was behind killing that electric vehicle concept, because the oil industry wants to keep pumping gas and support internal combustion engines. Well, Elon Musk believes in sustainable energy, and he believed the time was right for electric vehicles. And his goal in building this company was to start out with a higher end car, which was the Roadster, and that sold for about $120,000, $130,000. But it was very high tech, very powerful, very fast, and it changed everyone's conception of what an electric vehicle was. Now, the biggest problem people have with electric vehicles is range anxiety. Fortunately, we live in the age of lithium-ion batteries, and they have an order of magnitude more power than the conventional batteries that we grew up with, the lead-acid batteries or the carbon-based batteries. So it became feasible for the first time about 20 years ago to actually power electric vehicles appropriately with batteries. After the Roadster enjoyed great success, in 2002, they came out with a sedan, a luxury sedan. Now, this was also pretty expensive, upwards of $80,000, but it sold to a very willing audience. And again, the performance was incredible. It was Motor Trend's Car of the Year, and they ramped up production. His goal, by the way, was always to work toward having an affordable vehicle for the masses, something under $25,000, all electric, where everybody could be using renewable energy to power their vehicles instead of fossil fuels. The Model X came next in 2015. This was an SUV with falcon wing doors. It lifted up on the side like this. He had a lot of trouble with those hinges and the mechanics of that. I think he regrets doing that so early on in the manufacturing process. In 2017, he came out with a $35,000 vehicle, the Model 3. This got over 300 miles of range. It was very affordable, very close, if not equal to comparable internal combustion engine vehicles. And they sold a ton of those. In 2019, the Model Y came out. And this was termed a CUV, a crossover utility vehicle. And that started selling like hotcakes. Now, the Model S had a refresh last year, the sedan, and they updated some of the styling on that, and of course, the performance. In fact, they sell one version, they call it Plaid, which does 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, which holds the record as being the fastest ever production car ever produced. It beats $1 million supercars from Europe. It's just amazing what he's been able to do with the performance. He is arguably, in battery technology and the software, 10 years ahead of everybody else. He is the world's largest producer of electric vehicles. Now, what is Tesla company? Well, they bought a former GM/Toyota collaboration plant called NUMMI out in Palo Alto, California. And that's where they've been producing most of their cars for domestic consumption. They also built in under a year a plant in Shanghai, China, and that is supplying Asia and China with a lot of cars, mostly Model 3s and Model Ys. And that's doing tremendous volume there. In the next month, a new gigafactory will come online in Berlin, which will supply Europe with their cars, electric Teslas. And another plant in Austin, Texas, Gigafactory, Texas. Now, his numbers are incredible. He's produced in 2020, during a pandemic, he's delivered over 500,000 vehicles. And he's almost doubling the number of cars produced every year. By 2025, he'll be at the $5 million mark or 5 million vehicle mark easily. And we'll likely see some more plants started, probably one on the East Coast, maybe one in India, possibly one in South Africa. He's never had to advertise. It's all been word of mouth because it's such an iconic and incredibly impressive technological feat, what he produces. Imagine not having to factor in advertising costs, and his demand is through the roof. Tesla vehicles are very expensive now because there's such demand and limited supply. He can sell every one he produces. The only competition is China. They have 4 or 5 companies which are cranking out electric vehicles for the masses, low cost, taking advantage of the cheap labor over there. So he's the only combat to a Chinese invasion of the car market. But he's doing absolutely fantastic. People's biggest question with electric vehicles is what happens if the battery dies while I'm driving? Well, what happens if you run out of gas? It's the same concept. And it does currently take longer to recharge the battery in an electric vehicle, but there are many options. Tesla has built a supercharging network. They have over 3,000 Tesla superchargers worldwide and more going up every single day. So range anxiety will soon be a thing of the past. You'll be able to fast charge and you'll be able to use clean, renewable fuels, cheaper, far cheaper than petroleum products to get to your daily destinations. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. You remind me with that speech of my husband's uncle actually built himself an electric car at one point. Obviously, by building it himself, he wasn't assembly line ready, but that was probably 45 years ago. So he was ahead of his time, definitely. Moving on to our second speech, our second evaluator is Mark Campos. Mark, would you like to introduce David Jones?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, good morning. It is my privilege to evaluate David Jones this morning as he works on the Innovative Planning Pathway, Level 4. The speech or the project is to manage projects successfully, and this is his second speech in that project. The purpose of the project is for the member to practice developing a plan, building a team, and fulfilling the plan with the help of his or her team. The purpose of the second speech is for the member to share some aspect of his experience managing a project. Mr. Timer, the time is 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark. And David Jones's title is Rotary Club. David Jones.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. As many of you know, Toastmasters and the Rotary Club have formed an alliance that was developed a couple of years ago, unfortunately at the time of the pandemic. It didn't get very much traction and most people didn't even know about it. Well, recently here in Charlotte, at my club of Queen City, we were contacted by a Rotary Club who wanted some information about that alliance and also wanted to see if we could do a presentation. I said yes. And as a club president, I like to give the opportunities to other members of the club. I reached out to the Vice President of Education and our treasurer, both very good speakers, and asked if they'd like to do the presentation. And they said yes. Now, the VPE is a more experienced public speaker, and he took the lead. And once I gave them the project, I kind of just gave it to them and said, go do your own thing, and forgot about it. Evidently, they did a really good job. It was a Zoom presentation. It was several months ago, so the pandemic was still kind of out there. And they were able to do the slide presentation from Toastmaster International, show the video from the president of Toastmaster and the Rotary Club, and also entertain and do table topics. And I believe they did such a good job that the Rotary Club gave them a little medallion or coin of appreciation. I was very happy that they represented Toastmasters and Queen City in a positive manner. Rotary Club number 2 reached out to us, and they also wanted a presentation. And this time the treasurer wasn't available, so the VP asked if I would do it, and I said yes. I wanted to see what the processes were, and he already had a template and he knew how to present a Rotary, so I let him take the lead and we went. This time it was in person, and one of the Rotary governors happened to be there. We didn't really talk about our game plan. I assumed he was going to run the meeting and I was just there as filler, as entertainment. Long story short, it was a hot mess. It did not go well. We gave a 20-minute presentation and I could give you 20 minutes of what we did wrong. And after the meeting, the VP and I talked and we pondered what just happened. And he was really beating himself up because we didn't practice or do any of the things we're supposed to do as Toastmasters. And he was just beside himself. I, on the other hand, was kind of excited. You know, I felt like I am now an expert on how not to give a presentation to the Rotary Club. I feel like I'm probably better at it than anybody else. And then Rotary Club number 3 reaches out to us. They wanted a presentation as well. And I said, yes. I reached out to my VPE and said, hey, we can do another one. And he said, no. He was shell-shocked. He had no interest in doing another presentation to Rotary. I reached out to another president I know of another club, Jamil, and Jamil said yes. And that's when I put on my project manager hat. And with my team of 1, we started doing what Toastmasters are supposed to do. We started doing research. We started planning and preparing. We did rough drafts and we looked at the Toastmaster International slideshow, and we didn't really like the flow of it, so we made our own, but we had still incorporated the Toastmaster video. And we just practiced over and over, and we had it down perfect. We were ready to do a great presentation for this Rotary Club in person. part of our preparing and planning was to get there early, like Toastmasters do, and check out the venue and make sure the equipment worked and everything. And I did just that. And when I got there, I knew there was going to be some obstacles because the president of this particular Rotary Club, I believe his name was Tony Pepperoni. And a lot of you might know him. He's a New Yorker. I believe he's from Brooklyn. And he moved to North Carolina to start his own pizza parlor. And now he's a Rotary president. As I walked into the meeting, it was early. It was a big venue, and there was Tony Pepperoni over there and not too many other people. And he sees me, and I quote, he says, "Hey, are you the Toastmaster guy?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Hey, good, we need a speaker today." I was like, I'm the speaker. We booked it a year ago, but that's okay. He goes, "Hey, are you got a presentation, a slideshow, a video, anything like that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I emailed it to you a couple days ago." He goes, "I mean, I don't check my emails. I don't have that information." I was like, "Okay, we always have plan B." Then he says, "Do you have an introduction? How do you want me to introduce you and the other guy?" And I said, I emailed you that information yesterday. And he's like, "Oh, I don't have that." I was like, "All right, well, I brought my own computer. I can set up your audio visual and we can do the presentation through that." He goes, "Yeah, you're welcome. We never used it. I don't know how to use it. So if you can figure it out, you can, do the show." So I figured it out. But unfortunately, there was no audio. There was only visual. Therefore, we couldn't use the video from the two presidents of the clubs. I then did the presentation with Jamil, and it turned out to be a big success, fortunately, despite the little hiccups in the beginning. I introduced the alliance and explained all the benefits to the members. And then Jamil, who is an accomplished speaker, he came in and he entertained the guests. And then we also did table topics, and it went really well. And I was really happy with the outcome of that particular Rotary presentation. And I look forward to the next one. The takeaway from this project and that presentation is whether we have a team of 1 or a team of 20, as Toastmasters, we need to go back to the basics. We need to do our research. We need to plan, to prepare, and practice. Because when we don't do those things, our speeches and meetings turn into a real hot mess. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, David. Excellent. And on to our third speech. The evaluator is Kate. So Kate, would you like to introduce Mike Licata?
Absolutely. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Michael will be speaking out of the Dynamic Leadership Path. He's on level 2, and this project is Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. The two purposes are to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring and to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. Mr. Timer, the length is 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you.
I missed. Did you give his title?
No.
I do not have his title.
Oh.
Do you?
I do not. Hold on. I think it's in your chat. My apologies.
Okay. All right. I don't see it.
Michael, what's your title today?
Michael can give us his title. How's that?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests this morning. My title will simply just be Growing in Toastmasters and understanding how the protege mentorship works and within Toastmasters. And I want to say that as a club and as a member that's been around for a little bit longer than normal, longer than most Toastmasters in the club, I've been very fortunate because Lockport Toastmasters is probably one of the best places to join Toastmasters because there are so many nurturing people and I've learned so much so quickly and over a longer period of time of how to be a better public speaker. Now, I came to Toastmasters as kind of growing up in it. I went as a kid, and I remember going to that L-shaped room at Friendly's and seeing the meetings and learning a lot from a lot of different people, and just seeing the tremendous influence everyone has as a protege. Now, going to Toastmasters as a younger child, I never really had a true fear of public speaking. I think that most people in our Toastmasters are scared to death of the experience. Excuse me, I never had that problem. It comes being raised by such a veteran Toastmaster and always hearing about it and how good AM Lockport was as a club. Now, I'm not going to say I had no fear of public speaking. There's always a certain level of fear when it comes to talking in front of large groups, whether it's in class, whether it's at work, whether it's with colleagues after work. But I also understand the importance of public speaking, why this generation and my generation have lost the art of public speaking, and I understand why there are some service clubs like Rotary and the Lions Club that reach out to Toastmasters, because those service clubs understand how important it is to put together a good presentation and a good speech going forward. Now, when I had a chance to be an officer early on with AM Lockport, and I was the VP of Public Relations, I was able to put all of our club achievements on in our local newspaper here in Lockport. I was able to help build out the awareness of the club, and I think it did help a little bit help grow the club. It helped get people in the door so they would sign up and join, and we all continue to learn from each other. I think that's the best part about having a community club and not just a corporate club or a company club. When you have many different influences, when you have a large number of people that have had many different experiences, and we all learn from these experiences, we all grow as better people, as better public speakers. I think that it's also important too, as a protege, when you build these relationships with your mentor, that it's important to bring your ideas to the conversation. I think that we all take a lot of different ideas from people, and we are all very, very receptive to other people's ideas when it comes to how to improve the club and how to become better speakers. So I definitely have less fear now as a public speaker. I know I am a lot more comfortable in front of large audiences, and it is definitely as a individual that has grown up in Toastmasters and just become an overall better speaker. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Mike. Now, before we go on to go over our evaluations, I'll talk a little bit more.
Timer report.
Whoop, timer report. Oh, yes, sorry. Timer report. Larry?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I had the opportunity to listen to 3 wonderful speeches and time them. Len Thornton, 7 minutes and 24 seconds with the buffer, did qualify. David Jones, 6 minutes and 30 seconds, qualified also. Michael Licata, 4 minutes and 21 seconds. You needed 9 more seconds to qualify. Michael did not qualify. His speech was a little bit short today. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster. So we will put the poll up for voting, and David Jones and Len would be qualifying for that.
Okay, were they supposed to use the word also? to qualify, or that's just table topics?
That's just table topics.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. So as far as other things I will not do for the holidays, one of the things that comes to mind is hosting a party in my basement. I will not do that. I know some people have made lovely family rooms in their basements. You don't really want to visit my basement. Part of the reason I don't want to ever do that is one of my Christmas memories. My maternal grandparents always hosted Christmas in their tiny house. The largest room in their tiny house was the basement. So they hosted the party in the basement. There were, between 20 and 25 people, upwards of 13 children running around. But we did know there were certain places that were off limits or danger zones in their basement, by the laundry, by the sump pump. Those were the ones we weren't supposed to go to. Now, my brother David has always been one to test the limits. One particular Christmas, he tested the limits by getting a little too close to the sump pump. Growing up, I really believed the sump pump was a very deep hole full of water. So when David slipped and fell into the sump pump, and immediately thereafter, the sump pump motor turned on. There was a lot of screaming going on in that party. All the children were screaming. I personally thought David was going to die because he was either going to drown in the very deep well, because I thought of it as a well, or the motor was somehow going to kill him. I didn't know what the motor did. I didn't have a clue. The adults did not seem too concerned. I didn't understand that. I was very concerned. I believe my father was the one who went over and pulled David out of the sump pump. David learned, don't go that close to the sump pump. I learned, don't have a party in your basement at all, because that sump pump is there and it's going to get somebody at some point. I didn't want to be that person. I was basically a chicken. I will admit that. I don't want to have a party in my basement anytime soon. If you want to make toffee or have a party in your basement, go right ahead. Not my thing for holidays at all. Thanks, guys, for listening to my goofy little stories here. And we will now have our job reports. Correct, Kate? No? What do we do now?
Evaluators.
Evaluators.
Okay, evaluators. So, Sylvia, you were evaluator number 1. Can you begin evaluating Len?
Oh, well, I would like to thank Len for talking about a topic that my husband and I have been pondering or debating, actually is probably the better word, is electric cars of the future, really what everybody thinks they're going to be. Where's the stations going to be? You know, I want to see more stations so I feel confident of buying a vehicle right now. I'd like to your evaluation though. I do like that you stood up, you tried something a little bit different, because we do get comfortable sitting in front of, you know, the camera, and I guess get lazy. And standing up, I thought that was a good touch on your part. It was a good thing. Your eye contact with the camera, of course, you know how to use the camera very well. We're learning from you, actually. And I could see the excitement on your face when you were describing some of the vehicles, the fastness, the dollar amounts, and you paused at the right time for those to kind of draw us in. But maybe you would like to do maybe a presentation with that video, something and the chart, something like in a chart, because you threw out a lot of numbers. And I wasn't grasping the numbers of seeing how many cars and things were increased each year. So maybe a chart or some sort would have been done with this presentation, and that might have engaged us a little bit more. Let's see, what else did I think you could have changed? Yeah, like I said, the numbers were there, but it was kind of like going right over me a little bit. The notes, I've seen that you had them downwards. I know you're on vacation. I know you probably would have had them more eye level so that you could see the camera, see your notes, and so we weren't seeing the top of your head. But I did like the topic. The topic is something that is current, it's today, and we need to really investigate, everyone. Is this going to be good for us, even though they say it's electric, no fuel? But what's the downfall? Everybody looks for things that are negative to weigh it out. So I'd like to thank Len for a topic that I am interested in. And thank you, Ms. Toastmaster. Oh, and I also like that you smiled at the end. I thought that was very important. I wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. And our next evaluator, Mark Campos. You will be evaluating David Jones. Are you ready, Mark? Mark? Did Mark leave?
Wow, I usually cringe when people don't unmute, and I finally messed up, so I apologize. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning, and especially David. David, I really enjoyed your speech this morning and hearing about your experience working on this project. You are clearly a very talented speaker, and you bring to the table a number of very strong speaking skills, and let's get into those right away. One thing, when we move to the Zoom world, if you will, that I know I've talked about in evaluations is camera perspective. And I thought in your case today, that was outstanding. It was eye level with you. You weren't looking down at your laptop or anything like that. And I thought that the space that you occupied on camera was outstanding. It limited any background distractions. There was enough of you to see where your gestures were very effective. And I won't get into too much detail on those. I'll leave them to the tech and gesture master, but your gestures were outstanding today. Your eye contact, talking right to the camera, not getting distracted by trying to look at all the squares down here, looking at the camera was terrific. I think you've got a future in television. And you did this without notes, which was highly effective. Now, you didn't make my job easy as an evaluator. However, I do believe your speech could have been even more effective in just a few ways. I thought that your lesson learned was a bit redundant because you communicated it twice. You communicated it before that last Rotary presentation, and then you brought it in at the end. I think you could have saved it all at the end and really emphasized it. And I think structurally, it could have been that much more effective. Secondly, you've got to work on your Brooklynese, my man. It was not convincing. When you rolled out Tony Pepperoni, I was hoping you were going to do some imitation of him, because if you didn't, it would be in my evaluation. You took that away from me. So now I'm going to hammer you on it because you did use it. Come on, you got to at least have a forget about it in there. Where was it? Last but not least, you know I'm going to mention it. The unforgivable wardrobe malfunction. Lose the Yankee hat. Come on, the speech could have been so much better without it. But I think overall, the lesson was great. There's a risk of mailing it in whenever we've done something before. And I think Toastmasters in particular are at risk of this because we practice doing things off the cuff so much that I think we could get lulled into a false sense of security. So I appreciate you emphasizing the importance of preparing and planning. And then lastly, your speech was the antithesis of a hot mess, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the fact that you weren't gone. That was very good. And last but not least, our third evaluator for today is Kate Orr. Kate, I am sure you are prepared. Go for it.
I will try. Thank you, Mom. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. Michael, it's a pleasure to evaluate you again. It's strange being back on Zoom, but it's a pleasure seeing your face and hearing your voice and sharing your path a bit more. Growing in Toastmasters. I don't think anyone else in the club has had the experience of growing up in Toastmasters quite like Mike Licata, with his dad, Dave, being a founding member. I love that you took us on that quick trip down memory lane and then continued it with your experience as a Toastmaster when you're discussing the mentoring of the Toastmasters. You're a protege of many of the people on the screen here, or I suppose we're all proteges of one another in some ways. Michael, you excel at many things. I do not have to ponder your strengths. I know the tools in your toolbox, and you didn't disappoint today. You had a strong volume and intonation. The pacing, your preparation and organization were clear. The importance of mentoring and learning from one another, publicizing our successes, giving the press releases when you were the VP of PR many moons ago was a great way of connecting to that. You may want to work on a couple of things. Perhaps have a glass of water. I think you had a frog in your throat more than I've ever heard before. Maybe you would have stayed on Zoom anyway if you're coming down with something. Perhaps have a glass of water on standby so that you can fix that. It's a challenge when the microphone's right picking that up. In person, you can kind of look away from the microphone in some ways. The second would be, of course, to reach your time. Now in that, I think I'm like a broken record because I keep telling everybody, watch the recordings, watch the recordings, watch the recordings of the meetings. I'm preaching that constantly. Now, in this case, I would suggest practice more with your tech and record yourself before you give your presentation. So in the suggestion of practicing, it's not just in a mirror, but it's with the actual device you're going to be using if you are on Zoom or giving a presentation online, and watch the recording before. You could fix your perspective. Your device was a bit low, so there was kind of an angle that it would have been a bit better straight in front of you. And you would have more impact because even though you were very prepared, a little more practice would have just given that much more impact because it would have been an even clearer message. And you could have improved your intonation even more. You could have improved those emotional connections you gave us all. I encourage you to do that for next time. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kate. As you ponder the speeches and the evaluations, I would like to raise a toast, not to those things you'll never do for the holidays, but to take the time and ponder what you would really like to do for the holidays. Here. Ew, that coffee is cold now. Okay, and now to our
Timers
job
report.
holders, correct? Or timer
again. Yep.
Timer, oh, for the evaluators, yes, timer. Hi, Larry.
Hi, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I had the opportunity to time table topics, our speakers, and then when it came around to the evaluators, I forgot almost that I was the timer. I was so enthralled with the meeting and everything that was happening, but I did do my job. Sylvia, 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Now, when Mark started his evaluation of David, I kind of lost track of what was happening. And being a seasoned Toastmaster like Mark is, my mistakes and pondering of whether I had the time correct with what light was on didn't affect him at all, because actually I gave him the red light about 30 seconds before I was supposed to. And I think it was because I knew he was going to mention the Yankee hat. But he did come in on time at 3 minutes and 17 seconds. And Kate also made time at 3 minutes and 13 seconds. I will put the poll up now, Madam Toastmaster, back to you.
I thought you were a little quick on that trigger finger.
I lost track.
It does seem to be something that we do, but it's a good thing that our Toastmasters just keep us so involved in their speeches or evaluations that we lose track of what we're actually doing for our job. I don't think that's a bad thing. So thank you. If you would all please vote, I would appreciate it. And let's see, moving along. Chris DeGlopper Banks, how did our word ponder do for today?
Okay, now my question is this for the whole meeting? Or is it just for that? Okay.
Let's have Wordmaster be last to give folks one more chance.
Thank you.
Okay, we can do that. That's fine. So we'll move along. Mike Florio, are you prepared to tell us what you came up with Awe Master today?
You're on mute, Mike. Mike.
I'm on mute. I'm on mute. Another cardinal sin. Madam Toastmaster, just like being on mute, when you're listening to the speeches, you get entranced in what they're talking about, and then you try and keep tracks of the ahs and ums. And I thought everyone did a really great job this morning. The only person that I maybe thought was Chris Banks, where she had a few ahs and ums, but really not that many. Everyone else, I think, did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. And our grammarian, Jackie Kenny, how did we do with our grammar?
Well, like a few other people in the group, I tend to get involved in what's going on and forget to make notes, but I did make a few. I liked Jill's hurry up and wait. It's a tried and true old phrase. Len used combat to the Chinese invasion, which was wonderful. Sylvia said, we get lazy, and we do. She also said woulda, sadly. Mark used antithesis, which I can hardly say. David Jones, you said had it down perfect. You forgot Lee. It should have been perfectly. But your enunciation is always very precise, and that always makes me happy. Kate, I love proteges of one another, and Mike's growing up in Toastmasters. We can all see that image for him. Mike started too many sentences with now. I have hash marks to prove it. But on the whole, I heard a lot of good language and descriptive phrases today. So nice job, everyone. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And let's see, our next job holder would be our tech and gesture master, Chris. Are you ready to give a report on our tech abilities today?
Yes, I am.
Or lack thereof.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Actually, when Kate gave me the the job here. I had assumed being an all remote meeting, I would be far busier than I was. Tech was not an issue generally. We had Mike Florio and Mark fail to come off mute, which is everybody's favorite not to do in a all virtual meeting. I did notice Dr. Gerald Stevens' video seemed to lag a little bit. I'm not sure if that was on my end, but everybody else had a very crisp, timely feed with their video. I enjoyed the backgrounds, the festive backgrounds that Kate and Larry brought to the table today, getting us all in the holiday spirit. Moving on to gestures, all of our speakers did a great job today. I really appreciated Len standing and giving us the speech. I was particularly taken by his eyebrow expression, and I know that sounds kind of strange, but in the context of being on just the video, the ability to express with those simple, small movements, I found to be quite impactful. I also appreciated when he gave us the gull wing door gesture to express or explain how the Tesla doors worked on that particular model. David, I think Mark mentioned it, had really, really great eye contact throughout his entire speech. I think owing to not having the notes in front of him, he also made a nod to putting on his thinking cap, pointing to his apparently much reviled Yankees hat here. Additionally, he used his fingers as points as he was going through his speech to keep us engaged and on topic in this virtual medium. Finally, Beth, yourself, you were very animated, both with your hands, with your facial expressions when you were telling the Sun Pump story. I think it really gave us a view into the danger and the passion of the moment, and certainly got me very excited to hear the end of it. So all told, a very engaging meeting despite our entirely virtual medium today.
Thank you very much, Chris. Now, I believe we should check with our word master now, correct, people?
We have Quizmaster too.
Let's do the quiz master at the end. Is that okay?
Did he say the word yet?
Whatever.
Whatever.
You're in
Oh,
charge.
he used it
Beth.
once.
Whatever you want to do is okay.
Okay, then I will go with the word master. Christine, how did our
Okay.
word ponder do?
It went well. We had Mike and was it David and Anne Marie used it once, along with Dave and Sylvia and Marnie. Dr. Gerald used it twice, along with Tom. Beth, you used it 3 times, but Larry gets the prize for using it 4 times during the meeting. Madam Table Topics. No, Madam Toastmaster.
Very good. Thank you, Chris. So now we will go with our quiz master, Dave Licata. How well did we listen at the meeting today? David?
Well, let's find out. Let's ponder this question about how well we listened. The first question, will our next meeting be at the YM or the YW?
YW.
W.
And we'll let you in.
What candy does Beth have an aversion to making?
Taffy.
Toffee.
Taffy.
Toffee.
Toffee.
Coffee.
Coffee and taffy are 2 different things.
Yes, they. And
What
they're
did she
both
say?
gonna
Coffee,
cost you
coffee.
a filling or a crowd.
Yeah.
If he could, question number 3. If he could, where would Dr. Jerry go to chill?
Antarctica. Antarctica.
All right, poor David Jones is going to have trouble with this one. Wheeler Road in Rice Corners is near what American institution?
McDonald's.
Very good.
Wright's Corner self-storage.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, I forgot the plug. I forgot the plug.
A shameless
Tony
plug.
Pepperoni, number 5. Tony Pepperoni lives in North Carolina, but where's he from?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Bada bing.
Bada boom.
And in showbiz, we call this a throwaway, an easy one. Who brought Mike to his first Toastmasters meeting?
His father.
Possibly David Licata.
All right. Everyone's going to have to put on their thinking caps real hard for this one, because I'm going to be scolded later by my family and perhaps my fellow club members. This is a bit extreme. Folks of Italian extraction refer to the party space in their basements as what?
Oh my gosh. I should
The
know
recreation room? I
No,
don't-
it was the same name as a chain of restaurants.
Olive Garden?
No. Real Italians don't go to Olive Gardens.
Well, yeah,
Real
I know,
Italian-
but
Real Italians fix up their basement just enough to host parties, and it gets referred to as Buga de Peppo, which means Joe's
Buga de
basement.
Yeah.
Number eight. Mark Campos praised David Jones for what?
Wearing his Yankee hat.
No.
Oh.
Several things. Can you be more
several things.
specific?
All right, his
His
camera
positioning.
level and contact. Mark Campos urged David to lose the Yankee hat. What hat would Mark prefer?
Mets.
Very good. And
Mets.
now the final question. If someone steals your Tesla, what does it become?
A used battery.
If someone steals your Tesla, it becomes an Edison.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. Ponder that. And that's the end of the quiz.
Thank you very much,
Because that's a
David.
stole from Tesla.
Now, for the end of our meeting is probably the most important person of the meeting, because this is our general evaluator. She is going to be evaluating me and the other evaluators. So Tracy Farrell, I did not forget you. Don't worry. You are up.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And actually, I thought today's meeting was fantastic. Beth, you're great. You kept the meeting very light. Your smile goes a long way. It keeps everybody light and jovial. And we really did. David Licata, your questions at the end just kind of made everybody laugh. So it keeps the meeting light, happy, and everybody's happy to be there. One of the things I would suggest, just as a club, because it's been so long since I've been online or a Zoom meeting, if we had our Zoom login on our agenda or someplace easy to get, because I was texting Kate this morning trying to find out how to get logged in. That's why I was late. But if there was some place easy for the people that don't regularly go on Zoom to find that information. Sylvia, you did a great job. All of our evaluators were very good about starting off, pointing out the good things, what each of the speakers could do better, and not just saying you could have done this better, but how to do better with some solid suggestions in that. You guys all had good backgrounds. And I love how everybody now in our Toastmasters meeting, we're getting better with our camera positions. Before we were far behind or we had really bad backgrounds. So we're really getting better, more professional looking. So I think that's great. Mark Campos, you even matched with your black turtleneck and the black and white background. It looked fantastic. And both Sylvia, you have the nice summer background, the beach background. Kate had a Christmas background. It was all great. Anne Marie, you had some really wonderful table topics and you were very gracious with all of our table topic speakers. So I think everything. Oh, another thing I wanted to point out too is we have like Beth, you're a new Toastmaster of the day. Chris was also new at Wordmasters, and this is a perfect place for us to come and learn how to take on those leadership roles. And it's great to see the rest of the members in our club kind of help out, and we're all okay. So we didn't do it perfect, but we just keep rolling on, and it's good. And I'm glad that our club's like that. It's how we all learn. So all in all, I think we had a great meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Did we vote on everything now? Larry, do you know if we voted for everybody? We don't need to.
Yes.
Yes,
doing that?
everything has been,
Okay.
and I have sent that over
Okay.
to our president.
All right. And so now I need to turn the meeting over to our president. Thomas, are you there?
Unmuted. Excellent. Thank you so much. A big round of applause for Beth. Thank you very much for a wonderful meeting. I thought I was gonna do more than introduce and stop. I love a meeting where I can just watch. It all went so well. I'm gonna open up to the floor first for any general announcements. If anyone wants to speak about anything, I see both Thomas. Go ahead, Thomas. I'll get Steve next.
I just have a question for Larry McKenzie. I don't know what happened here, but I'm looking, Larry, I might want to alert you. I'm looking at Thomas Helwig, and it appears that he's now sitting in your living room for some reason. I'm checking the background out there with the tree and your presence. You might want to look into that.
Thanks, Tom. Actually, I moved my tree to the other side of the room so that it
Oh, I
wouldn't.
see that. Yeah.
See, I'm.
Okay, go ahead, Jim.
Oh.
I'm
That's
sorry,
my only
Steve.
observation.
Oh, yeah,
right.
you threw me.
No, that's fine.
The Star Show that we had scheduled for last Saturday night down at the Margin Manor had to be canceled due to clouds. And in fact, we couldn't see anything. That has been rescheduled for this Saturday, the 4th, at 6:30 at the Margin Manor.
If it's not cloudy.
If it's not cloudy again, yeah. And with a little luck, I might be able to pull a comet out for you to look at. So I'm encouraging everybody to come out and check this out.
One for me too. I am the Toastmaster for the Christmas meeting, but it's going to be called the holiday meeting. So I'm changing things a little bit. And we're actually going to have roles like we always do. So if people want to tell some Christmas holiday stories, and I believe Kate is going to have sign up.
I did. Thank you, Gerald, for jumping ahead. That's going to be at the YWCA in the big room. And I put some signups right on the December 23rd agenda. So anybody here can go right in there and sign up. And Gerald will tweak it if needed. You'll let me know. And the next 2 weeks, we'll probably meet in the smaller boardroom right there in the basement at the YWCA, depending on how many members come in person. Thank you, Gerald, for looking ahead to that. And Len is our Toastmaster next week. Len, did you have a theme yet?
I do. Let's go with holiday traditions. Holiday traditions for the December 9th meeting.
Thank you. Gerald, did you have anything else? I didn't want to cut you off, but just interject.
No, I just want to make everybody aware that I was making those tweaks so we could have a bunch of people sign up. I like the structure and try to improve things, enhance as best we can.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, we haven't usually had a regular meeting for our holiday party. It's usually everyone brings treats who wants to share. We'll do it in hybrid so folks can share stories, poems, songs. If you're musically inclined, feel free to share music. That's what we've done in the past, but we're kind of merging that with the traditional meeting so we can have some regular roles as well. Oh, Joe, I see in the chat, Jackie shared that Joe's mom already started making cookies. I hope Joe can come. Larry?
He's planning
Yes,
on it.
I did have something that I'd like to interject if at all possible. We held our meetings for so many years at Tom's Diner, and yesterday Kate and Beth and I had the opportunity to move our cabinet and things over to the Y. When doing so, they were very gracious about us being there, and they were very thankful. But when we moved the cabinet, something really cool happened, and I just thought I would share it with you. When I was pulling the cabinet out, from the top of the cabinet, an envelope floated down, and I grabbed the envelope, and the envelope was empty, but it had a name on it, and it was Marilyn Bean.
Oh
And-
my.
And it was as if she was sending us a message yesterday and letting us know that Toastmasters is still there and she's still watching over us.
For all our newer members, Marilyn used to run our holiday party for so many years, and we lost her last year in 2020. And so that was a remarkable experience.
Yeah.
Did you find the
Founding member too, correct?
Founding chapter member also. Thank you, Mark. David, what?
Did you find the huge Metro Road sign I hid behind it?
Yes. We were like, what is this? Oh, this is welcome to Lockport.
How am I gonna hide this?
Larry has it.
All right, before we go over time, let me announce the winners for today's meeting. We don't want to go too far off track. For table topics, our winner was Marty Johnson. Unfortunately, he's no longer here. Our evaluator for today was Mark Campos. Congratulations, Mark. And our speaker for today and winner was David Jones. Good job, David. As corrected by the Quizmaster, it's the YWCA for next week. I believe that there should be really no change. Two Davids I don't want to talk, so it is 8:29. So we're going to stop the recording